6 o'clock. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. All members are present. I did not see any additions to the agenda. So approval of the agenda.
I'm moved to approve the
Cheryl
agenda.
moves to approve.
I'll second.
All fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it passes. No public comment? Move to consent agenda. Okay.
Cheryl, you want to walk through the bills?
Sure. I went and checked out the bills today. There were a lot of them, but they were all little things. They're restocking and making sure the pens are all filled and all that neat stuff. And something that I found out that I didn't know that had happened was our sound system that has been replaced in the senior high gym. Parts of that were repurposed in the elementary school gym. So we're not wasting anything. If it's usable, we use it. And that's, I felt good about that. And I didn't understand the bill as it came through, but when it was described to me, that was really made me feel good. That we're not wasting anything.
Beyond that, as far as the other personnel items on the agenda, this is our typical timeline where we approve the community ed pay scale. And we have the estimated hours for our summer staff. And then we have the remaining, our remaining contracts that were left. So Amanda Wirtz, you'll see, has a title of a deputy business manager, and that really is kind of as a transition into. I talked about a couple of meetings ago, I talked about how we're transitioning that position. And so we really felt it was more representative of her assuming more responsibility in that role as she transitioned in. So that's why you'll notice that one with a different title. And then Leah Michaelis is the technology coordinator. Again, as she's increasing her responsibilities and increasing her knowledge and the depth of her training through some of the certifications, it was an appropriate title. So I just wanted to share those with you, and I would just stand for any questions. Oh, hold on, donation received. Okay, that snuck up at me. And I have a big yellow highlight on my paper because I want to share the summary of our year. So our donations to acknowledge today are from the Paynesville Lutheran Church for the playground, and then Casey's General Store Rewards Program for $20. I went back through and I just clicked on all of the tabs to see what our dollar donations are for the whole fiscal year. And there has been $250,689.75 donated to the school district in money. And it's gone to career and technical education. It's gone to FFA. It's gone to the elementary school. It's gone to scholarships. I just think it's a really a nice moment to pause and thank our community for the support that they have provided to our students and our programs. And that's a big dollar amount. So I wanted to just take a second and acknowledge that through donations. And with that, now I will stand for any questions that board members might have.
Motion approved.
Make motion.
Second, Bruce seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. We're down to communication items. Administrator report.
All right, so our administrative report. First, what I want to show you today is it's our enrollment summary. I've typically done this in June, and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger because I want to just kind of call out a couple of things. And so again, visually, when you look at this, the intent of the reds are to show when we have a number drop, and the greens are to show when we have a number add. And you can kind of see cumulatively the movement of students throughout the course of the school year. We started the school year, and I'll just come down here to the bottom because this is the number that we're the most accustomed to seeing. So this is our K-12 pupils. Up above, it has our preschool students, inclusive of our student count. So when you look at, we started the school year with 913 and we ended at 904. So we had some variation and some change throughout the course of the year. We do expect and know that we are starting the school year with less than we are graduating, and that's been accounted for in the budget, and we've been talking about that in for the last upcoming year, or last few years that this has been upcoming. I do want to also just kind of pause and take just a second to, I'm going to cast this real quick so that as I'm presenting, and I'm putting my mouse onto the side, hopefully people can kind of see what I'm talking through here. So these are, when we talk about weighting student enrollment, that's what all these numbers are on the side. So it really takes into account the average for the whole year, and then it assigns a weight. So our students that are in grades 7 through 12 are weighted at 1.2, and students that are K through 6 are weighted at 1.0. So if anybody looks at this over the course of the year and wonders, you know, what is this garbly goop on the side? That's really what we kind of use to calculate how much we're going to get per child and per student count. So that's what all the numbers are on the right-hand side. And again, just as a snapshot, this is our K-12. This is what the newspaper often publishes as our opening day of school. And so our opening was 9/13, and our ending, actually our opening, this was on September 15th. So I'm gonna clarify that, because this is on the 15th of September. And this is on the last day of May. So just wanted to share that with you. The other piece that I want to share with you is our open enrollment trend data. We've talked a lot about open enrollment. So our Paynesville area schools residents attending elsewhere, it's up a little bit this year. So it's 151. We have 137 though that are open enrolled out. So we're still cumulatively gaining students. We had 7 online program and 7 placements. So it was, I think I missed a count in there, but our 7 placement students are in programs that are care and treatment and setting for programs. We only have 1 student that is a placement and a referral out of our district. The others are in care and treatment programming, which are generally a little bit more intensive type of programming. So just wanted to share those. One thing that I will acknowledge and notice is we are up in our students that are enrolling out to the Eden Valley School District. I don't have those reported with each district where they're going. These are where the kids are coming from. And I would like to make some phone calls this summer and understand why, understand what's different, and if there's anything that we could be doing, and maybe there's just I'd like to know why, what's happening, and what could we be doing to potentially draw students back. So,
and I was going to ask that question, Janelle, as far as, so the 4 students that left, as far as from the beginning of last school year to year, is there any type of like an exit survey that is performed? Does the school district try to do some type of exit survey?
We've not like systematically engaged in that.
Okay.
Sometimes, when I pull up that enrollment, we have some students who have started the school year with us, gone elsewhere, and come back.
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot of fluid movement in there. So,
and that's understandable, especially just taking a look at the greens and the reds. So just because there's 4 students that, as far as the way it looked, as far as what began at the school year, the number and what ended, you really don't know what that is unless you take a look for each month to try to.
We did have a time that we did pretty good exit surveys with the dean of students when that program first started.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Must have just faltered. A lot of things changed with COVID.
Oh,
The
yeah.
other thing is, when you're looking at Eden Valley Watkins, they had an administrator over there a number of years ago. He was not shy. He was out there knocking on doors, asking about people's schooling and stuff and what they're after. What you're doing, I think, is the most positive thing that we can do. Because I think if somebody else is knocking on the doors or promoting themselves, we might have people going that don't really know what's going on here. Because to a degree, how many people really know what we're offering here?
Oh, right,
They
exactly.
don't know the quality of our staff. They don't know all the things we have going on. Many may not be aware of our tech part of what's going on here.
Yeah.
The PAC Center, lots of people know about that, but again, not everybody. Good job if you can get out there. And I think it'll be informative, which could be,
Well,
I'll
and
be able to figure out how to move forward better.
in my opinion, if you never ask the question, it's always gonna be no. You know, what would it take? Would you come back? You know,
Right.
maybe they would never think about it. So, more to come on that, but
Kind of enjoyable, I would
it's
guess.
interesting. So hopefully I just don't get hung up on.
Yeah.
Revenues and expenditures, those are updated for the month of May. So clearly we'll have one more. This does have the revised budget as that was approved in, at the end of, May as well. So that has been updated and you'll see the numbers as they correspond. When I was looking through there and Carrie and I kind of touched base, there's nothing that stands out as out of the ordinary on our revenues. There was also nothing out of the ordinary on the expenditures. These are updated to reflect the revised budget. And so, that is important to note. So, to May 31st. So all of those have been updated and you can see where we're at. And then if you want to do the breakdown, you can take a look at that as well. You know, if there's anything that's kind of odd and stands out, I do try to call that out to you, but otherwise, if there's something that you all see, please let me know and I'm happy to speak to it. But, they're pretty standard at this point in time. And so that's what I have for my administrative report today. And I will answer any questions.
If not, we'll move on to committee and organizational reports. Well, there's much going on.
West Central Ed District, we have a school board meeting that's coming up in the 8th of July. And it'll be here. So the folks that are on that committee and represent the school districts within West Central Ed District will come here. We'll take a look at the house, the sale house, and then come over and take a look at the school and actually have our school district meeting here at the school.
So we're invited to the house.
I think so. I don't.
You sure could. It's a public meeting. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a public meeting. You certainly could. You certainly could.
Well, it was a very nice article in the press today about it.
Yeah.
And I think the article said that.
And I think, the program they're excited to have a presence in the community. And so I think the more our community is aware of who they are and what they do, I think that's beneficial.
Well, I would encourage us all to come if we can.
Just pop through. Yeah.
The other, I'm getting kind of lonely because we haven't had any contract meetings or anything. I mean, I'm just used to a meeting a week, but. Or two. But if not others, then we'll move on. Okay, no old business, so we'll move to new business, preliminary budget.
So, there have not been any changes or revisions to the budget as presented at the work session on June 11th. Both of the attachments are in as they were on June 11th as well. So if there's any questions for me, feel free. Otherwise, that would be standing for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary 24-25 budget.
I second.
Bruce moved, Gerald seconds, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Okay, memberships, contracts.
So, the one piece I do want to take just a minute here, and Thomas and I have had a little bit of conversation about this. So the membership contracts, the first one that we're going to just highlight is MREA and the Minnesota Rural Education Association. So, our district is a member of two. Many districts are, they're either, as you get closer down to the metro, they're members of like what was Schools for Equity and Education and AMSD, the Association of Metro School Districts. So because they had kind of different representation of what they did and how they advocated for organizations. So here in rural Minnesota, we've been more of a Minnesota Rural Education and C or SAFE. I'm going to get to that in a second. So the MREA renewal is just a pretty standard renewal. The School Board Association, I think we've talked extensively about the value of the School Board Association. We rely very heavily on the School Board Association for our policy guidance and discussion. And so there's that renewal as well. Number 3, the school's advocating for fair funding. You'll notice that I say formerly C. So C is in transition. Brad Lindell has been the executive director and chief lobbyist for a lot of years. I sit on the executive board for C, and over the last couple of years, especially once Brad announced his retirement, there's just been a lot of discussion about really kind of the direction of the organization. And Brad has been serving as the executive director and the chief lobbyist. Okay. Lobbying is one of the key components and functions of these organizations. MREA has its own lobbyist, and SAF, sorry, they are pronouncing it SAF, not safe, SAF, or C, had a chief lobbyist. And back in the day, the Schools for Equity and Education brought a lot of emphasis on the inequity and taxation across the state of Minnesota. And that has been forever just an ongoing focus to really increase the equalization so that when your dollar for dollar here is the same as in the metro. So it really is not an inequitable distribution of funding across the state of Minnesota. So as Brad is retiring, the organization has really kind of taken an opportunity to look at where they're going next. Okay. At this moment in time, there's been some, I guess, floundering is probably the best word to use, membership within the organization. And so some large school districts that had a pretty substantial financial support of the organization, such as Anoka Hennepin, such as Rosemont, Apple Valley, Egan, some large school districts, they decided to no longer carry membership. All that being said, that really caused the executive board to stand back and say, let's really make sure that we have this in a good position before we hire an executive director. Let's focus our work on a lobbyist. Okay, so with that, I'm recommending that we maintain membership with SAF for 1 more year to watch the way that the organization transforms and moves forward. I think the importance and the mission of communicating that equalization of taxation and levy dollars is critical. And I don't want that to be lost because it is so important for us. I want to make sure that we're making sound investments in our organizations in the future. So I will revisit this throughout the course of the year as the executive, as I sit on that board. I'm happy to provide kind of pivotal updates throughout the course of the year, but I do expect by the end of July, beginning of August, the organization will have a lobbyist on board. And that's going to be one of the critical components for advocating at the legislature for tax equity within rural school districts. And I shouldn't just say rural because it's really property poor school districts that are impacted, and that can happen in the metro as well. Okay. And so that's the SAP update. And then the final membership would be for Resource Training and Solutions. Resource Training and Solutions has been a wonderful, they've served as a wonderful resource for us. We're able to access our district assessment coordinator support and resources. We have our safety, like our health and safety kind of supports that come through them. So again, it's a membership that's heavily utilized by the district. And so those would be the 4 that I would recommend that the district maintain membership with.
Any questions?
I agree with that, C.
Okay.
I think you have to stay on that one. Of all of them, MSBA, I can see the importance of that one. But C is a big one. It won't take long. if you don't have somebody out there advocating, our little schools will be just tromped on as far as funding coming out from the metro or out of the state, because of the population variance, that you've got to have somebody like that there. My curiosity would be, is the new one that we had on there, was that rural development one? We have not been involved with them very long. My assumption is you're believing that's a pretty good deal for us too.
For MREA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
it is.
didn't ever have them for a long time. Maybe added them.
I think it was
maybe
2
4 or
years
5
ago.
Maybe 2 years ago.
I think Jake had a couple of years with them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was long.
And it kind of came from Jake's mother was involved in that. She was a superintendent.
Oh, okay.
And when she retired, she was involved in it, and he had some insight that he felt that was pretty decent, but.
You know, MREA also does have their lobbyist, his name is Sam Walseth, is also very connected and has a lot of legislative inroads to really carry some different platforms. I would say I've just been probably more involved with C because they asked me to serve on their board. So I'm a little bit more entwined to the inner workings of what's been happening there. But I know that through the, I think it's every Tuesday morning during the legislative session, they have a briefing where we get a lot of really nice updates and good opportunity to network between superintendents, board members, just a virtual check-in at 7 o'clock every Tuesday morning during the legislative session. So it's a good network opportunity for advocacy as well.
So the last question is, so when we approve this, it only says the Rural Education Association, Minnesota school boards.
Yeah, the last two got left off the resolution.
Yeah, they're not on there.
Okay,
Can we
Miranda,
just say
add those.
all of them as discussed or something?
I'll have Miranda add them right now.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve all of them.
Okay.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes. Now we come to the State High School League membership.
So this is the resolution that, to be part of the Minnesota State High School League. It's, we carry it forward year over year. There's really not any changes beyond the year and the change, the renewal form. I guess I will confirm that we change positions to be reflective of the people that are here. You'll see that, when it was filled out, so, Rick is board chair designated. Rick Hendrickson is our activities director. Smala is our speech person, and Amy is actually Amy, say again, please. Walker. Thank you, Walker, who is our new choir director. So she'll be the music representative. And we haven't determined any other advisory committee members, but this form is updated with the individuals who are serving in those positions. It would have been Cheryl Bungham in the past, and so it's been updated to her replacements.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we're gonna have to, can you make a motion second? We need a roll call now, right?
Who seconded that? Cheryl?
Cheryl.
Okay.
Okay, Bruce,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Ron, sorry. Ron.
Aye.
Rachel. Aye. Gerald.
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. We go into the custodial master agreement.
We, at the end of May, we had our final negotiation session and had a tentative agreement with our custodial unit. It was in line with all the other contracts, and so this is our final ratification for the year.
I make a motion to approve the custodial master agreement for 23 to 25 as presented.
I'll second.
Yeah, moved and seconded, Ron and Thomas, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Now we got food service bid.
So, so we went out for bids, for dairy and bakery. You'll notice that, the recommended or panel gold is recommended to, receive the bid for, the bread. And you'll see dairy is a little bit of a different recommendation. I'm gonna pull that up and just kind of share that. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. We're recommending that, we split the bid, based on the type of milk that we're using in each of the buildings. So the elementary building is still using cartons. And we agreed to kind of see how it works at the secondary, work out the kinks. So they still have the cartons at the elementary, but then, the bags are at the secondary, and you'll see that, there's a price differential, a pretty substantial price differential. So, in confirmation with our auditor, they did support us awarding the bid to 2 different vendors for the 2 different sites. So, that's what you'll see as a recommendation.
Does this have I mean, not that I'm opposed to these, but does this have that lock-in that we're gonna be cartons at the elementary school through 2026?
I would say, so the way that it's written right now is that
Or is it just a deal when we did stop cartons, we just stopped purchasing from them? There's no agreement to continue to purchase on the price that is purchased? Does that make sense?
I hear what you're asking. It isn't, you could make the resolution however you'd like to make it. I don't know that the elementary is going to be ready to transition to,
That's fine too.
for it. I think it might take a little bit of time. There's just a lot of space considerations.
Yep.
But you know, if you would like to have that as an option, we certainly could have, it might be a little bit more expensive, but have that same provider just finish the school year, and it could be that they are the bid for that building. You know, we could look at it that way as well.
What are the big transformations? I guess I've got a check sitting here for $1,000 from Stearns County Corn Growers to help purchase one, and I know I can get $3,000 more dollars. I guess I don't understand what difficulty is it to go to the bag?
It's having kindergarten students carry a tray with a cup of milk, and they're not,
They're less stable.
they're not, and the lines are, they're not fast now. And there's a lot of variables that I think I really want to be mindful of the concerns that we heard from the staff at the elementary before we just kind of roll it forward. Now we could maybe do like grade levels, upper grade levels. Again, I think that when you do that, now you have milk coolers and with the crates, and you have milk coolers with the bags, you know, so it's not that we're opposed to, I think we would like to work out the kinks, and
That's fine. We're actually gonna go through a different school anyway, so that's fine.
okay. So, so to answer your question, Thomas, I mean, you could,
I was more curious, like if it's a deal that locks us in, that, you know, that we don't get to the end of next school year and like, oh, we want to transfer now. And then we're like, oh, well, we have to continue to buy, cartons, but I'm okay with that. I just want to know kind of about where that's at. So
When I was a kid, we did it all that way here. Except we didn't have trays.
Mhm.
So you didn't have something sliding around on the trays. Even as an adult, that's kind of an interesting thing. I think we had just either big plates, I thought is what we had, and they just dished it right on your plate. So you had one hand on the plate and the other hand on the other, and you learned how to get the milk line with your arm.
you know,
Whole different picture
and again,
for little kids.
the board certainly can approve, the board can approve removing the sites so that you're speaking to the type of distribution. But the intent when I had a conversation with the auditor was, it was twofold. One, is it problematic to split the bid because of the way that the bid process works? And because of the intent to be fiscally responsible and secure the lowest bid, that made sense. But then the other component that I just logistically and conversationally had with Lori Nepson is, from an ordering perspective, I didn't really intend to have 2 vendors going to do 2 different buildings. You know, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So if the bags are at the secondary, then Kemp's has a secondary. Does that mean that they might have a few cartons to pack for lunches? And maybe, but camps would deliver a few cartons, right? So I would say in that case, if we want to trial some bags in the future, we're gonna probably pay a little bit more for those
Oh, that's fine.
bags as we trial it and go from there. And at that point in time, we might have a donation that would help to offset the cost, and that would be okay too. So,
I think we should also be mindful, you had mentioned that as far as the staff over there, did have some concerns with the elementary students. I think we should be very mindful of that.
Yep.
If they're there, we're not, as far as we as a school board,
I agree.
we're not watching that, so.
no, I agree. And I think, I do know that Cassie is well aware, and I think that, it'll be over the course of time, maybe that'll just naturally evolve and, but I agree, Gerald.
I have no motion. I have no problem with it. I'll make a motion to approve as written.
Okay.
Or pondering the question.
Thomas makes a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Bids. Cheryl seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Okay, oh, there's one opposition, okay. So the 6-1. Brings us to upcoming meetings. That's where I saw we were invited to a tour.
There you are, yeah.
Yeah, I knew I read it something. See, I did read the agenda.
Yeah.
So we got,
What time is that at?
I believe the tour was gonna be at 4:00.
Okay, right, yeah.
so that's on the 8th, and then you're having the board meeting here,
And the board meeting will be after it.
your board meeting.
The
That's
West
right.
Central Ed board meeting.
Yeah, then our board meeting is Tuesday night.
That's correct, yes.
I'm getting confused.
Yep.
All right. Okay, well, that's our only meeting in July. Just remind me what.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our business. We have another motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thomas makes a motion. Bruce seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.